Minecraft has a lot of trees, but they're not all the same, so I'm gonna rank each and every one of them on a tier list. Everything from birch trees to cherry trees. And if you don't know how this works, this tier list is 5 tiers. Amazing, good, average, lacking, and bad. This is the Minecraft tree tier list. First up, we got birch. A lot of people seem to strongly hate this wood, but I don't think that it's the worst. Yes, it looks ugly and it's borderline unusable, but at least it's far better than acacia. I'll talk more about that later. The birch tree is very similar to its real world version, and it's absolutely everywhere, so it can be good to use to craft those wooden tools that you throw away in the first 30 seconds. It provides a good balance to the standard oak forest by breaking up the brown and green with a little bit of white. That probably sounded a little bit racist. Birch trees are overall not as bad as some Minecraft shorts tubers say they are, but they're far from the best, so I'm gonna have to put them in the lacking tier. Now we got giant red mushrooms. While technically not a tree, they're still somewhat tree shaped, so I'll include them on this list. They usually spawn in mushroom islands along with the giant brown mushroom trees, but they can also occasionally spawn in dark oak forests. The giant red mushroom doesn't drop logs or planks, they drop red mushrooms. However, the mushrooms rarely drop when they're broken, so this is one of the only reasons you would ever put fortune on an axe. But it's still not a very efficient source of mushrooms. In my opinion, gathering them from the nether, mushroom island, or making an automatic farm is far more efficient. The giant red mushrooms do look cool, but they don't do the best job of being a tree. I will give them a pass for technically not being a mushroom, so I'll put them in the average tier. Next up is the mangrove trees. These trees obviously spawn in the mangrove swamps, and they're very unique. They aren't just a boring straight log with some square leaves. Mangrove trees have a lot more depth and personality than some others. The main structure of the tree is somewhat similar to the acacia tree, just bigger. However, the mangrove tree roots go in all different directions which act as supports, even though gravity doesn't really fully exist. They also have moss on the roots, a unique leaf color, and vines which adds to the overall swamp atmosphere. Another interesting detail is their planks. The mangrove planks are kinda red, which adds a splash of color which is very unique. The red planks can be useful for spicing up builds and probably a lot of other things. In case you couldn't tell, I'm not a builder. The mangrove trees are actually pretty cool, so they're gonna go in the good tier. The oak tree. This one is just iconic. They were the first tree added to the game, and they're instantly recognizable to people who don't even play Minecraft. While it may be basic, without it, there would be no other trees in Minecraft. And sometimes you don't want a wood color that's just screaming in your face when you see it. The oak planks and logs both look amazing. They're the perfect shade of brown that just goes with everything. Whenever you see them, it reminds you of old Minecraft and what it once was. Or you're happy to see a normal forest that you can harvest for wood. This wood is a perfect building material for any build. It could be your first starter house or details for a complex structure. So I have to give oak trees an amazing tier because they're my second favorite tree in Minecraft and they're iconic. The crimson huge fungus. Again, much like the giant red mushroom, this isn't technically a tree, but at least this one has wood that can be crafted into planks, so I'll include it on this list. This tree can be found in the Crimson Forest biome in the Nether, which was introduced in the 1.16 Nether update. The wood looks really cool and the planks have a reddish purple color. It's somewhat similar to the mangrove planks, but these ones are a lot more vibrant and definitely unique. They can be great for adding a splash of color into your Minecraft build, but anyways, back to the tree. Or should I say fungus. The crimson huge fungus can be very short or extremely tall. It doesn't have traditional leaves, and if you dig deep in there, you'll find shroom lights, which is basically an organic version of glowstone. I personally like this tree and I think it deserves a good tier. Now for the dark oak tree. I won't make any mildly racist jokes with this one. Dark oak is actually pretty underrated. First off, the trapdoors look like chocolate, and even if the tree may not look that big, you can get a pretty good amount of wood from just a couple of them. So if you need to get enough sticks to buy emeralds to get that mending book, which is extremely overpriced because you accidentally bonked the villager on the head with your sharpness 5 netherite axe, then these are the trees for you. They don't have the problem that jungle trees have where you have to climb all the way to the top of the tree so you don't leave half of it floating. The dark oak trees are short and large, which makes them perfect for getting a lot of wood quickly. And the planks look decent if you want to have a darker wood tone for your base. And the dark oak biome is actually pretty cool because the trees provide a leaf roof which lets you travel and see the woodland mansions pretty easily. Overall, the dark oak trees are a good tier. Now for the cherry trees. I haven't actually encountered these in normal survival Minecraft, but from what I've seen, they look like a cool tree type. Pink isn't really my color, but I can see how some people would like to have a different leaf variant. Up until now, aside from the fungi, the trees have just been the same shade of green. The cherry logs have a deep purple color with neutral colored pink planks inside. The cherry wood also brings with it a whole lineup of trapdoors, fences, and more. Again, like many others on this list, this tree will help spice up builds and encourage creativity in the community. Good tier. The azalea tree. This tree can spawn underground in a lush cave or out in the open field by itself. Underneath it is a cluster of rooted dirt, and it has these cool pink flowers in its leaves. The azalea tree is kind of like an oak tree because it's made out of oak logs, however, it has its own unique leaves. I think these trees are kind of like cockroaches because they always find a way to grow and survive. They can spawn in the deserts, mushroom islands, and even underwater. I think that they're the most unique tree in Minecraft because at first glance they might seem like just another large oak tree in the plains biome, but upon closer inspection they have a lot of personality and unique features. I'll give azalea trees a solid average tier. The warped huge fungus. Similar to to the Crimson Huge Fungus, this tree spawns in the Nether and not the Overworld, and it's technically a fungus and not a tree. This fungus, however, is located in the Warp biome, which has a nice bluish cyan color to it. They can be very small or very tall, and they also have shroom lights buried deep within them. The logs have a cyan vine texture on them with a deep purple bark, kinda like the cherry tree, but the planks are a whole different story. Much like everything else in this biome, the planks are cyan color. These trees can also be a good place to hide from the Enderman everywhere in the Warp Forest. I do really like this tree type, but in my opinion, the Crimson tree is just a lot cooler. So I'm gonna have to give the Warped Huge Fungus an average tier. Now Acacia trees. As many of you may know, Camman18 does not like birch trees too much. Well, I'm the same way with Acacia. At least birch trees look like an actual tree. Acacia trees are all misshapen and a pain to harvest. And they spawn in a savanna, which literally nobody cares about. They're also so spread out that if you did want acacia wood, it would take a while. I sent out a poll a few days ago asking you guys what your favorite tree in Minecraft was, and I didn't put acacia trees as one of the options. And after 1,000 responses, even though the poll was asking for your favorite tree, some of you still rushed to the comments to say how much you hated acacia. And I completely agree with you guys. The leaves are discolored and the whole biome looks dead. The bark is literally gray and the planks are orange. And the orange color isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world, but it's not enough to make up for how bad all the other aspects of the tree are. Bottom of bad tier. And real quick, if you have a YouTube channel but get 10 views a video because of a skill issue, and you want to change that, I've launched a Patreon through my finance channel where we can talk one-on-one about anything YouTube related. So click the link in the description to speak with the Gizmo82. And after this video is over, you should subscribe to my finance channel. It's a good investment. Now for jungle trees. They come in two main variants. They can be just like the oak trees but slightly taller with flatter leaves, or they can be extremely tall and 2x2 thick. They have occasional leaves partway up and they have some of the lushest leaves out of all the tree types. And since this is a Minecraft video, the more saturation, the better. However, the jungle tree can be a pain to properly take down without wasting your time or using an elytra. Since it's covered in vines, the obvious answer is to climb the vines and mine down, and that sounds good on paper, but in practice there's always going to be some hole in the vines requiring you to either place blocks, jump, or mine into the tree. And the planks have the worst color in my opinion. They have their uses, but those uses are very limited. So I'm going to have to give jungle trees a lacking tier. The giant brown mushrooms. Much like the giant red mushrooms at the start of this video, these are the blown up versions of the small mushrooms. You can find these on mushroom islands or occasionally in dark oak forests. These mushrooms consist of a long white stalk going up the center with a flat brown top. The giant brown mushrooms don't consistently drop the normal brown mushrooms, but they still look cool. But in my opinion, the brown ones just aren't as good. The red ones just have a more dynamic shape, and they're kinda just boring. So I'll put them at the lacking tier. And I've saved the obvious best for last, the spruce tree. First off, it actually looks like a tree, and everything about it is amazing. They spawn often, so it's easy to harvest if you want to use this wood for your base. And the trapdoor is even better than the dark oak one. The spruce tree also comes in a giant variant which has a ton of wood while still looking great. Its planks can be used in pretty much any wooden build, and the spruce biome is just good in general. Amazing tier.